Alright, so for this next part, we reconnect with Ellie, and she discovered that her dance partner, Emperor Artius of the Arcanic Empire, is in fact Illumes, the person her spirits wanted her to find since episode 1, since the beginning. She calls him by Illumes, the name she knows him by, and he looks at her very confused, asks her why she knows his childhood name, and if they can talk about it in his tent where it's more private and secure. And then Ellie agrees. There's a brief description of Artius' entourage because they're out and about in the party. So there is a short muscular male with black hair and one gold eye and one blue eye. And he's dancing with Luna. There's a taller, lithe male with a mohawk that is styled down, and he has blue eyes. There is an older female with mage's robes, gray hair, and glasses. She appears to be a mage of some kind. And there is another female with a short, lithe build. She has curly, dark brown hair and amber eyes. Artius then takes Ellie to his tent, and it is magically warded. And he explains to her that he needs to add her blood to the system because that's how it recognizes those who are okay to enter. Big surprise, the Arcane Elves specialize in blood magic. Artius takes her to his tent that is magically warded and explains that he needs her blood to add to the system so she can be allowed access. And he says, well, we can use the lancet, which will be painful, or I can bite you, which will be weird. So, pain or weird?
Yeah, Ellie is thinking to herself, yeah, Kenny hasn't really told me about arcane elves, like about arcane culture, like is it rude to bite on the first meeting? Is it not rude?
You stare at him, kind of babbling, and he goes, so, do you want the lancet?
Yeah.
He nods, and a mage woman comes over and has this, spring-loaded lancet that she brings over and pricks your finger with.
Yeah, Ellie is is this weird? But she's trying to gauge Artius's face. Is everything okay? Is it courteous too? I mean, he's the Emperor. Maybe it's a huge honor to have the Emperor bite you.
He is, why don't you do an insight check to get a read on him?
Okay. I'm going to try and read him. Okay, that's a 12.
He, just looks completely neutral. You can't get anything off of him. But what happens is, the mage woman comes over and she pricks your finger with the lancet, and there's, a noise, and then a little bit of blood wells up, and then Artius just grabs your wrist, and then with his hand over your hand, he takes your finger and just draws a number of runes on the magic input pad thing that's by the door. And you do take, 1 point of damage. It's enough to draw blood, and you see the words on the display flicker, and there's a little bit of a flash with the magic warding on the tent, and then Artius steps through and motions for you to follow.
Okay, yeah, so I have my big dress, I pick up my skirts, and I just kind of saunter in.
You get, a little bit of an eyebrow raise with your big poofy dress, but he steps aside for you and your petticoats to get through, and there are these plush pillows, and apart from his entourage, there's someone who appears to be differently dressed from his entourage. They seem to all match, and she's this tall woman with silver hair and this long red dress. Then she looks at the two of you and says,
"Isn't she a bit young for you?"
That's not even... No, that's not why she's here.
Oh, well, it's gonna be a bit of a scandal if it gets out.
I figured I'd start collecting scandals and maybe put them on a shelf and then just show them off when guests come over. And while they're talking, Ellie, you have...
I just have this internal monologue. This isn't cheating. I mean, he's really hot, but there's stuff we gotta do. You gotta focus.
So she stands up, and while you're flustered over this, she stands up and says, "Yeah, there's nothing like a scandal to mix things up." And Ellie, there's a moment where there's like a glint of recognition as she looks at you. And then she looks at Artius and says, "Well, are you gonna introduce us or what?" And he goes, "Oh, this is Elendriel. Elendriel, this is Queen Adrastia, the Vampire Queen." She gives you a little bit of a nod. And, I'm kinda ready to room, so I'm gonna bounce.
Yeah, Ellie just kind of panics, so she's gonna like curtsy like 4 times. She is so out of her element. She's a little country bumpkin. She has no context for anything that's high society, so she just bows a lot. Have we seen her before? She seems familiar.
Make a history check.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to use my inspiration.
Okay.
That's an 8.
I mean, she seems familiar, but she's also just kind of charming in her own casual way, so it throws you off, because she's like, "Yeah, that's enough curtsy, you did it good." And then after a moment, the shorter male guard returns, and Queen Adrastia leans over towards him. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna go let you two play for a bit, and I'm gonna borrow Van, okay?" And Vaughn goes, he's the shorter guy, he's like, yeah, okay. And then the two of them walk out. They're greeted by her entourage, which was the, like, tall, golden, like, gladiator type guy that was in the pepper drinking contest. And then the three of them just, like, meld into the crowd. And there's this decompressing moment where Artius sits down and motions for you to sit. And there's an intense sort of silence as he just looks at you and studies you. And he steeples his fingers. "So, how do you know that name?"
Well, I have a lot to tell you. The first is that I have some spirit friends, and she sort of waves her hand so that they appear. And I have Pip, I have Sipo, I have Hop, I have Siver, and Omdir, and we've been traveling all over the place. And we've ran into this underwater ship, and there was fish people, and then there was a giant shark, and then we saw demons, and then we went underground, and then we met Kiara, and she doesn't know what the sun is.
He waits very patiently as you go throughout your entire journey until now.
Yeah. He goes through the entire campaign, and then after I like spaz out, I slow down, and just my spirit friends told me to find Ilamaze, and it's you.
He just sort of, he looks like he's thinking. And then there's a little bit of a moment where something seems to click because he looks up from the ground and back at you. And he says, "There's only one person that would call me Ilamaze, and that was Queen Kiranil when she was a child."
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the name again?
Queen Kiranil. He looks around like he's trying to recall really old memories. I know her through childhood. It was... Long story short, my childhood was often lonely, and I would go into the woods by my mother's estate, and Kiranil would show up there. At the time, I didn't know she was an archfey. I just was a child. She was a child, but soon found out that archfey age as they go through their cycles. And then he goes on to explain that as archfey grow older, they basically, like, reach old age, and then they go into a deep sleep, kind of like Odin's sleep, and then they have this period of time where, like, they revert back in age to, like, 3, and then their personality is often different because they're, like, a fresh personality, but then as they age, like, their old memories start coming back in. And he says we met during such a period when she was child again. and she had a hard time explaining the truth to me because I was young, but we became close as children. And this is like the first time you've seen him smile, like even slightly. Karen was a good friend to me. She was there when no one else was. And while you're talking to him, you notice that he has a spirit companion, actually probably two. There's one is really good at hiding, and it hides in his shadow. And there's another one that floats around his head in like a little water blob. And he very obviously like notices, like he's tracking your spirit, so you can tell that he has the sight. Mm-hmm. And he says, and he notices you noticing. So he says, she was a gifted spirit tamer. She helped me bind Talise to me, and he gestures to his water blob spirit, who kind of like drifts around him. And it seems to be happy to get any attention, so it kind of like bobs around excitedly. And then Artius sort of just like waves her away, and she gets a little sad. And then he points at Hop and says, I recognize that one, and that one. And he points to Pip, and he explains, Kiranel had them as companions. And at this point, we have to like kind of wing it a little bit.
We have to what?
You and I need to wing it a little bit because it gets too unintelligible.
Hmm.
But basically what I could get is that Ellie kind of makes a joke up, is like, wait, if that means like potentially Kiranel is my mom and she's a queen and that makes me royal and then that makes you royal and we're kind of cousins. And he's like, no, that's... and then Ellie is like, why didn't you tell me this sooner? And the spirits are... I couldn't explain this better before, but now I can explain it better, but it's basically like the spirits perceive only like so much, like they don't understand social nuances. And so they're like, we're just like, why would you didn't ask, like why would we tell you that? It just was kind of like something that was just lost in translation because they don't actually think like we do.
Okay.
So he says, we'll start at the one where he says, he just said those two were Kiranel's companions.
Okay, wait, so if Kiranel is my mom, and she's like a royal, and you're an emperor, that basically makes us cousins.
No, that's not how that works. Queen Kiranel, if she is your mother, would make you a princess of the Fey Court of Spring. Though we would probably have to find some way to, I don't know, what's the right word? Justify your claim, finalize it. Not sure how that works in Fey Courts. They're rather uninstitutionalized. Kind of like goes into thought.
Yeah, and like Ellie just has like 1,000 thoughts going through her head, and she's probably gesturing to her spirit friends. It's like, why didn't you tell me that Elamaze is this and I'm this?
And then like Pip and Hop are the ones that come down, and they don't communicate in words. They sort of communicate in raw emotion, and they communicate like they only understood that Kiranel wanted them to take you to her friend when you reached a certain age. Mm-hmm. Because and then they like, as they're explaining it, you come to understand that like it just didn't occur to them to like give you details, because that's just not how their consciousness works. Their spirits, like, that didn't occur to be important to them.
Yeah,
so,
like they can't convey like status or just any complex social nuances or.
Yeah, like they're like, why? They basically don't know why you're upset because they brought you to the right person.
Yeah, and I look at them and just like, yeah, you're right. You're always right.
One of them, it's Pip, and you know Pip is like your oldest spirit, and he is a little like more advanced in terms of the other spirits. Like he can grasp things a little bit better, and basically he says like, Kirinal wanted you to be happy and not like worry about this burden until like you had to. And so, like, I mean, I'd say, like, you could... Well, I don't know. I would explain it as, just so as, you know, as a DM to a player, you can understand that, like, she wanted Ellie to, like, develop organically and, like, not have, like, predefined notions of who she should be until, like, she had to come of age.
Yeah, like, she didn't want her to just, like, already just, like, think of herself as like a princess or just like have these notions and just kind of.
Yeah, she wanted you to like have an authentic childhood and develop your own identity. Cool. With that, we're gonna go back to our other team and we'll wrap up this scene.
Yeah, and Kira, you see it, and Kathy, as you are breaking away to go and follow Ellie. I'm assuming you can follow Ellie.
That's kicking in.
Yeah, you feel a hand grab yours and pull you into a dance position.
Yeah.
And you come face to face with Ryan. And says, "Hello, sister."
That's right. I didn't fancy.
Not at this party, sir. Wait, can we trade him in the cell?
Yeah, right?
Dress him up like a mom? We can put him in there.
Let's do it. Okay.
He's got hair, she's got hair. They look the same.
Yeah, they can be twins.
Yep, that's all it takes.
He's got
just hair.
4 limbs, a head, and some hair. Exactamundo alike. Humanoids all look the same.
All elves look the same.
Doesn't matter.
What's defining features anyway? Except for just a distraction.
So,
Alright, am I allowed to talk now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Alright, so I'm face to face with my brother again.
Yep, from.
He's just won't leave me alone. So Keontae recognizes him obviously immediately and just like immediately kind of like freezes up, but not in like a scared way, like, oh no, just like kind of like, oh crap, here we go again, you know?
Yeah, and
So she kind of like, she doesn't like really shy, but she like holds his gaze there and kind of like, however she's holding him in dance position, she just kind of like grips it. She's like, yes.
yeah, there's just this intense gripping as you meet the challenge. And Thrainian very coolly just says, "Here I was thinking, Julie doesn't want to stay in 3 miles. Her most direct way home is with you secluding favorites. Lucky for me, grandfather and the fake courts go back ages. One of the benefits of family."
Family. Great, she said, very coldly. However, I'm not sure if I know who you're speaking about. My name is Keontae, Julie's son. So, if you'll excuse me.
No, and he doesn't let go. He says, "This is what's going to happen, Keontae. You will come with me, and I will use my connections to get us back to the material plane."
Sorry, my cat's okay.
Serious conversation. Hey, baby.
He knows.
Alright, can you repeat what Granny had said?
She said,
You know, I was thinking, Julie couldn't possibly want to stay here. And the most direct way home is through an archfey portal. Lucky for me, grandfather and the Fey courts go back ages. It's nice to have a family connection, isn't it?
Oh, that would work perfectly for you and grandfather's plans, I'm sure. But I believe I've been busy with my own issues, so I'd like to understand why you think you can continue to do this when you failed so many times already.
Because while your friends were busy with their ridiculous drinking contest, I took the liberty of lacing their drinks with black ghost adder venom. And if you do not come with me, they will not get the antidote and will surely perish.
Smugness just kind of like fades just a little bit. I'm guessing that would probably be enough for Granny to be like, haha, I win. Okay, so I'm trying to think of a role or something I could do to really like read him a little better. Let's do an insight check to see if he's lying about the antidote.
Okay.
Okay. I lost my dice. Hold up, okay. I had to turn off my dice because I've been using dice stink. What'd I roll, Tiff?
Oh,
Did you 20 for me?
I rolled an 8.
Okay, I don't want that one. Give that to my brother. Can I have a new one? Wait, hold on. My insight is 8, so that'd be a 16. Would that work?
Roll again because we exactly matched.
Okay, roll again, Tiffany, please.
Michael's frame is frozen on like the perfect face right now.
Yes.
Yeah, with my mouth all open. Yeah.
I rolled another 8. That's 16. Yeah.
Brandon got an 18 deception, so you cannot read him. And he appears to be truthful.
So,
I don't like it.
Seems
That's why I use my computer.
You're like, You kind of just hold your stare as you study him, and there's just this unflinching quality.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him to just like.
So, shall we?
Peonci is gonna look around to see if Erevan can see her.
Erevan is, he is within eyesight.
Okay. I'm not gonna try and look at him because I don't want him to get implicated in anything. Quiet, Phil. But I'm gonna hope he saw me and just kind of like, do the best.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do.
Alright, so like,
I don't have message equipped, otherwise I'd be like,
you like what you do is you like slowly like just like drop one of your gloves on the ground.
Okay.
And then Samira shows up.
Next, Samira shows up and she casts a spell on the three of you so that the two of them look like palace guards and you look like a different party attendee.
So that she casts you. And then he grabs your arm and they like start to like march you.
Then they walk you towards the palace but instead of going up the stairs towards the palace, they take a left and go down a pathway that seems to go to a training ground of some sort. And once you go around the bend, you're like along the side of the castle and out of sight and you're fairly far from the party at this point. And Thoranian turns around and you hear his voice coming from a guard's face as he pulls out his sword and seems to just study it. He turns around and you hear his voice coming from the guard's face, and he appears to be removing a glove, though you don't really see it because he has seeming on. I have a confession to make. I didn't poison your friends. I lied. Another weakness. You trust. You trust. He pulls out a sword, not his usual. It appears to be a sword that he stole, possibly one of the palace guards.
He pulls out a sword.
Another lie I made was, I'm not bringing you home. I'm just cleaning up house. I'm not bringing you home. I'm just cleaning up house.
We'll praise you.
Yeah! That's my bro. Give me cool one-liners.